This podcast is presented by the Prince George's County Memorial Library System.
Hi, I'm Hawa.
I'm Heather.
I'm Darlene.
I'm Hannah.
And this is our podcast, These Books Made Me. Today we're going to be talking about The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett. Friendly warning as always, this podcast contains spoilers. If you don't yet know whose swords glow blue in the presence of lawyers, please proceed with caution. Okay, so was this everyone's first time reading this book? If not, how did it compare to your memories of reading it when you were younger? Before y'all go into that, I'm just going to say this was definitely my first time reading it, and as usual, so yeah.
Everyone's looking at me. Well, I am responsible for us reading this book. Thank you for agreeing to give it a try. So I will be candid about I'm going to be entirely biased about this book and this author. This book is from a series that has meant a lot to me. I've read this book, I don't know how many times. I don't think it's like an innumerable amount, but I've read all the books in the series. Terry Pratchett is an author who I picked up as a teenager. A friend of mine her parents had a huge science fiction and fantasy library. I would go over and often borrow things from it. And my first book from that series was not this, because that had not been published yet. This was published a few years later. I was technically an adult when it came out. But I read other books in this series, which started being published in the early 80s, so it's been around for a long time. I fell in love with this series, and at the time, it was out of print in the United States. So if you didn't know someone who already owned it, or find a copy in a library, you had to, in my case, ask your parents, in this case my father, to drive you around and hunt used bookstores for secondhand copies of whatever books in the series happened to be available. So my father patiently drove me around to hunt for whatever copies of these books existed.
Way to go, Dad.
That's dedication.
My dad did not understand. I would say, it's this amazing series about, this flat world with on a turtle and elephants, and this happens, and he was like, I do not understand what you're talking about, child, but sure, we can go to that bookstore. I'll be over here where you browse in the science fiction, which was very sweet of him. My dad, if you let me tell a brief anecdote, because it's kind of relevant to my experience of the books. My dad does not really read fiction, or did not. A few years later, we were on a plane together going on a family trip, and he was very bored. It was a 7-hour flight, and he asked me if I had a book to read, and I had a couple of books, one of which was a Terry Pratchett book, and I handed him a copy of Terry Pratchett's Guards. And by the time the plane landed, my father, who does not like fiction, he's one of those dads who reads like depressing books about World War II. By the time we landed, he was like, this is amazing. Why have I never known about this author? Do you own all the books in the series? And I said, no, I'm a teenager. I can't afford to buy all the books that I want. And he's like, well, give me a list and we'll order them all. So it became a series that my dad and I read together, in my late teens and into early adulthood. And we still talk about this author every now and then. So anyhow, I don't want to talk for forever about this, but this is this series, the characters, the stories have shaped my experience of reading and the way I think, and has been a part of my life for, decades at this point.
That is so sweet.
That is very true to the spirit of These Books Made Me.
Yeah. How do you follow that up?
Right. And also, why didn't we do this book sooner?
Right.
So many books, so little time.
Right.
I haven't read this book before, so this is my first time reading it. I think my takeaway from this is that I would have enjoyed it as a kid, and I wish that I had read it then. And I love that it validates overthinking. So, first sight, second thoughts, third thoughts unite.
I also didn't read this when I was a child because it wasn't out then. I was a young adult-ish when I read it. I think it's hard to remember. I feel like this came somewhere during the Harry Potter run of books for me, and I was just I think, reading a lot more. You know, I was contemplating library school. I was working with kids a lot at the time. And so I was reading a lot more childhood books, and fantasy being certainly one of the genres that I was reading a good amount in. I remember thinking it was a charming book at the time, and I wish it would have been written when I was a little kid because I would have loved it. But I think I think it's such a fun read, so I really was glad to revisit it. It was a good time.
Yeah, same here. I would have loved to read this when I was closer to the
age of Tiffany.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I think one of the things about this book is that although it's put in young adult or, just a 9-year-old protagonist, but it's the start of a series and she ages a couple years each time. I think it could be read by people of many different ages.
It's totally Jay appropriate. I would have torn through this when I was 8 or 9, probably.
Yeah. I think the only thing that tripped me up was the dialogue for the, what is that, Nac Mac Feegles?
Mm-hmm. The Nac Mac Feegle.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing that would have tripped me up as a kid. I would have just kept reading over it or something.
There's one of the books I think that has a glossary.
Oh, nice.
What does Crivens mean?
I'm not sure. I think it's sort of a general exclamation.
That's so funny because I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, maybe this is just a British thing or something. And so it gets to the end and she's like, yeah, don't say that around our parents or at all.
Yeah. Or that she had just a general sense that it was a curse word.
Yeah. It's like that SpongeBob episode where
the dolphin noises.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Pretty good, SpongeBob.
I think there's a sort of the effect of the Feegles is that there's a lot of you get the sense of a lot of swearing or swearing adjacent language that's happening, but still in a way that's not really inappropriate because it's sort of fanciful. I guess fracking from what was that? Was that Battlestar Galactica that had fracking?
Oh, yeah.
In place of the F word.
Yeah, that might be. Well, and then obviously Good Place with.
Oh yeah, forking.
Oh yeah.
Holy mother forking shirt balls.
Yeah, and I feel like Firefly also had a.
Well, they would drop.
Well, they would do Chinese, but there was something else in there where it was an exclamation that was a faux curse word that was clearly standing in for our real curse words. So for context, it says that Crivens is derived from Criffens, a euphemistic alteration of Christ fend us. So it's just an exclamation of astonishment or surprise. So it's an old-timey, oh my God.
Gotcha.
I think they do have the toad swear at one point. So it's crope.
Oh.
She's like, what? Oh, that's toad profanity.
In The Wee Free Men, Tiffany Aching is a 9-year-old girl who lives on a sheep farm on the Chalk, a rolling countryside that sounds peaceful until you remember that this is a Terry Pratchett book where danger is usually lurking behind something absurd. Tiffany is practical, clever, and a cheese-making prodigy. She is the youngest daughter in the large Aching family and is somewhat resentful of her little brother, who is the golden child to her parents. In Tiffany's opinion, Wentworth is simply a sticky nuisance, a spoiled baby who's obsessed with sweets, and he's not too bright. Tiffany begins to notice oddities around the farm. Dreams turning strange, tiny creatures stealing things, and an honest-to-goodness monster in their stream. After baiting the monster with Wentworth, Tiffany smacks it in the head with a frying pan and goes off looking for education to understand why a fairy tale story monster like Jenny Greenteeth would end up in her stream. Tiffany finds this education in the form of one perspicacious tick, who informs her that she is a witch, and from the sounds of it, so is Tiffany's grandmother, Granny Aching. Tiffany clocks that and begins recalling memories of Granny Aching making magic, reviving a freezing lamb, fixing the Baron's violent dog, and controlling her herding dogs with her mind. Tiffany comes to realize it wasn't exactly magic, but a sharp mind and hard work. But as she says, it doesn't stop being magic even if you know how it works. Tiffany returns home pondering her newfound witchiness, only to find her annoying little brother Wentworth has been snatched by the Fairy Queen. This is not cute woodland fairy, mind you, but a malevolent and selfish queen who rules a nightmare realm full of surreal landscapes and monsters. This isn't the first boy the queen has carried off, as Roland, the 12-year-old son of the Baron, has been missing about a year. Fortunately, Tiffany's not entirely alone. Enter the Nac Mac Feegles, also known as the Wee Free Men, a clan of tiny blue men who are basically Scottish warriors shrunk to 6 inches tall and powered entirely by chaos. Think Braveheart, but really tiny and supernaturally strong. They drink, fight, steal sheep, yell constantly, and believe dying just means you wake up in a better pub. Led by Rob Anybody, the Feegles decide Tiffany's a witch, or in their words, a hag, and therefore worth following into battle, mostly because she can hit things with a frying pan and doesn't scare easily. Tiffany is immersed in Feegle culture during her quest to save her brother. The Feegles are searching for a new Kelda, the matriarch of the clan who handles all the actual thinking while the men run around headbutting problems. Their old Kelda dies after meeting Tiffany and feeling confident in making her interim Kelda. The Feegles are somewhat skeptical about having a big job Kelda, but Tiffany wins their loyalty with her quick thinking and powers of first sight and second thoughts. This is essentially Tiffany being really observant and clever, but the Feegles also believe it's still magic even if you know how it works. The whole crew of Feegles plus Tiffany, plus Miss Tick's talking toad, plunge into the nightmare realm of the Queen. In the Queen's territories, dreams become reality, for better or usually worse. Tiffany locates Roland, who is spoiled but demonstrates a bit of courage now and then, and finds Wentworth tantruming due to an overload of candy. Tiffany and the Feegles manage to navigate through the ever-changing nightmare world and monsters through a combination of fighting and Tiffany learning to perceive and control reality in the Queen's realm. The whole crew escapes back to the chalk, and Tiffany is quickly met by a small team of witches, who came to save her but are a bit too late to assist. She learns that she'll be able to get a witching education in a few years, but in the meantime she'll be able to covertly explore her own magic by taking care of others and defending those who can't defend themselves. Tiffany is truly Granny Aching's ween, as the Feegles say, and adopts the role of Hag of the Hills, quietly watching out for her people and her animals.
Terry Pratchett, later known to his fans as Sir Terry, was born Terence David John Pratchett on April 28, 1948, in Beaconsfield, Buckinghamshire, England. He was the only child of David and Eileen Cairns Pratchett, who worked respectively as a mechanic and as a secretary. The young Pratchett entered the Hotspur County Primary School in 1954, where he encountered social stigma for his speech impediment. He also encountered a head teacher who was convinced that the 6-year-old would never amount to anything and said as much. However, Pratchett's mother, Eileen, supported her son's education at home with a tutor and by providing incentives to read and study. Pratchett scored highly enough to be able to attend an academic grammar school for the next leg of his education, despite the predictions of his head teacher, who has decided that trade and technical school would be what he must do. Pratchett did decide to attend Wycombe Tech next, but it was his choice. Eileen also saw that he enrolled in typing lessons, which ended up being a useful skill for him later. A self-described nondescript student, Pratchett once credited the Beaconsfield Public Library with his education. In order to get around the checkout limit of 2 books per child, he worked at a deal where he volunteered his time at the library on Saturday in order to be permitted to check out multiple books at a time. Pratchett began writing short stories during adolescence, publishing his first in the publication Science Fantasy at the age of 15, and later would publish serialized fiction after quitting school to apprentice as a journalist with the Bucks Free Press at the age of 17 in 1965. His father had to sign the indenture forms with him since Terry was still a minor. He showed up for his first day on a September Monday in 1965. For his first assignment in the field, he was taken along with a senior reporter to a farm where a man had drowned in mud in the bottom of a well. In 1968, he married an art student named Lynn Purves. That same year, Pratchett also met a local publisher, Peter Bander Van Duren, who connected the young author with the man who would later become its publisher and agent, Colin Smythe. Writing fiction had become a daily habit that Pratchett engaged in to decompress after the stress of his newspaper job. In 1971, Pratchett's first novel, The Carpet People, was published. It was celebrated by a launch party in the carpet department of a furniture company. Pratchett and his wife, Lynn, welcomed their daughter, Rihanna, in 1976. In 1983, the first Discworld title was published, entitled The Color of Magic. The Discworld series would be what Pratchett is best known for, a humorous fantasy series set on a disc-shaped flat world that is carried on the backs of 4 elephants that are standing on a great turtle named Atuin. Where Atuin is going is a subject of much philosophical speculation. The Discworld series would eventually number 41 books. It was incredibly successful and published around the world in multiple languages. Pratchett would give up journalism to become a full-time author by 1987, and by 1996 was the UK's best-selling author. He was awarded an OBE in 1998 and knighted in 2009 for services to literature. Pratchett won the Carnegie Medal in 2002 for his non-Discworld book, The Amazing Marith and His Educated Rodents. Reportedly, this is the award that he was the proudest of. In 2007, Pratchett announced a devastating diagnosis, a form of Alzheimer's called posterior cortical atrophy. He continued to write prolifically for the rest of his years and became a staunch advocate for Alzheimer's research as well as for legalizing assisted dying in the UK. His death was announced by his assistant Rob Wilkins on Twitter on March 12, 2015, with a series of threaded tweets reading, "At last, Sir Terry, we must walk together." Terry took Death's arm and followed him through the doors and onto the Black House desert under the endless night. The end. The last Discworld book, and the final in the Tiffany Aching series, The Shepherd's Crown, was published that same day. Many fans of his work refused to read that book in order to preserve some unread Discworld/Pratchett.
Have you read
I'm
it?
so sad.
That is sad.
I have read it. I couldn't not read it.
Yeah.
But there's rules on forums a lot of the time where no spoilers
Like,
for the
don't
Shepherd's
discuss
Crown.
it.
Yeah.
Like you can discuss anything else, but not the Shepherd's Crown.
That's interesting.
It's interesting because I think you can really, if you read his books over the last few years, like they're definitely, to my mind, worth reading, but you can see his writing
Decline.
changes. It's definitely not the same author that he was. I wouldn't say that it's bad, but I think you can see traces of his illness. He's also an author whose style changes significantly over the course of his writing. You can really kind of see where you are in his, in the sort of the eras. But I think you can really, in the books he wrote in the last few years of his life, see, that his mind is not where it was. Like, I think it's kind of hard to describe. I think there's some sentimentality.
Mm-hmm.
There's some, the way he characterizes people. It's just, they're good. They're worth reading. But to read The Shepherd's Crown, it's not the same author as before. It's a very intense experience, at least it was for me, because he wraps up a lot of loose ends. It's a very powerful book, but it feels like an ending in a lot of ways. So it's the fact that it ended up being the Tiffany Aching book that's the last book he ever wrote both at all and in the series is kind of interesting. But
I mean, I guess we kind of already started to discuss a little bit about the author at least, but I think his characterization of Tiffany was really interesting for a 9-year-old. In many ways, she did seem a lot older than she was. And I think that that's also because she kind of presents as like an heir essentially to Granny Aching. But what did you guys think of like her character and how she was written?
I thought that she was interesting. Like, I liked the little little quips and things that she had about her, like how whenever like her brother would like say a word wrong, she would correct him, but also at the same time she was one of those people who did a lot of reading but didn't always, like, you know how when you read a lot and you haven't heard a word out loud so you say it wrong.
Yeah,
and
I
then
love
she
that
meant-
representation.
I'm still haunted by the way I pronounced the word stingy the first time I said it aloud.
Oh,
Stingy.
Yes.
yeah. For me, it was facade.
How did you say?
I think it's like facade or something.
We've all been there.
Absolutely. I still go through that. Like,
Yeah.
especially when we like do these recordings and some of the words I'll be putting in these synopses are
Yeah.
Honestly, there are words now I look at them and I think, I'm just going to choose another word.
Yeah.
I can spell it.
I died when the way that she pronounced metaphorical.
And Mystic's like, well, actually, I think you mean. But no, I thought she was interesting. Like, I didn't read the synopsis before going into the book, so I really had like no idea what to expect. But I thought that they did a good job of like kind of showing what it's like to kind of be like that almost youngest sibling, and then having other siblings that come behind you in that way where you're just like, I don't like you, but I love you kind of relationship. So, yeah.
There was that bit where they said, you don't love him. And she's like, what's love got to do with it? He's my brother.
Exactly. And I'm like, she's saying that, but like, you're doing all this because you love him.
Yeah. And she's at that perfect age where like the mine thing about her character really makes sense. But then they're like, that's also like a witch's trait.
Yeah.
She was very wanting to learn. Especially like, I thought the whole like education tents coming around thing was like interesting.
Oh. The wandering teachers. I was trying to. How does the so they don't have a schoolhouse. Like it never struck me until I read the book this time how odd it is that they don't have any sort of built-in school, and they just have like bands of wandering teachers who they chase out at night so they don't steal the chickens. I was like, this is odd.
It's like, I did think that was weird, but then I was like, oh, we're reading about blue men, so this isn't the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of the teachers is like peddlers, basically.
Right.
But they're
Peddling
education.
a
weird mix of like, you might get a snake oil kind of education, or you might get like really legitimate information that you need. I think that's a fun like setup in this world. I thought that Tiffany, she's another in sort of a line of characters about that, 9 years old that we've read that's like very self-possessed. Because I think, Francie in A Tree Grows in Brooklyn or Cassie in Roll of Thunder, like they're that same age, but they're also just these very curious and observant little people. And so they do present in many ways as much more mature than their age, except then you see the flashes of like,
oh, she's 9.
Yeah. So I really liked that. I mean, I like that a lot as a main character setup for a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, she's a lovable main character, I think.
She starts out swinging, literally.
Yeah.
Right. With her little frying pan.
You gotta love a practical child.
Right. I should have brought a frying pan.
Yeah, I also really liked about her that they present her as like really logical, or someone that likes to sometimes like overthink what she does, or that maybe she doesn't do the more like caring thing. She's kind of a little unapologetic about it. I mean, she will, I think, judge herself a little bit. Like I do remember that scene where she felt bad about like Wentworth, like the water was coming, and then I think she only really took Roland and let Wentworth go with the Nac Mac Feegles. And then she was like thinking about her choice, and she was like, it was the logical thing to do. Like, what was I going to do? Be brave and also like
save the one I could.
Right. And that's like a lot, I think, for like a 9-year-old to like think through. And it's the same thing, just like even the fact that she used Wentworth as like bait as well. Like there's this like other thinking like, well, I think this is what makes most sense in this situation, even though like what this person might perceive as like using someone or like not caring enough. But like, this is what makes sense to me.
Yeah, like what are the ethics of using your baby brother to lure a monster? But she's also like, she's carefully watching the water.
Right.
She's like, is it,
and she has
is
a
it turning
weapon.
darker?
Right.
Is it getting deeper? I better go. I got another frying pan ready. Like,
Well, it's very pragmatic as well.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, something could happen to Wentworth, but something could happen to like her whole community because there's this monster nobody knows about that. What might she do? So I like that about her, the sort of balance between like she's not cold at all, but she will make the pragmatic decision when it needs to be made.
and she's aware, that she lives in an environment where she knows that harsh things happen. She knows that foxes eat chickens. She's seen shunned people in the community die. You know, she understands the way, you know, life can be very harsh and dangerous in a way that perhaps not all 9-year-olds do. Maybe someone who lives in a world that's a little bit more sheltered. I think growing up on a farm, she probably understands some
Roland
things that
doesn't
not everyone
understand
does.
anything.
Yeah. Literally.
And he had
Spoiled
the
in such a
fencing.
contrast. He's older too.
Yeah.
But
It took me
he's
a while
like-
to realize that he was older because of how he was kind of
Yeah.
like she had to save him essentially, and he just
Yeah.
kind of was like dragging his feet.
The
I
Feegles
love that
kept roasting
logically
him.
the Baron is like, well, he's had fencing lessons, so he must have been the hero in this story.
He had to be the one. And she's so clever. Like
Despite the fact that he was gone for a year.
Right. And she's so clever because like there's the part where like they're like, oh, well, we need a Klunda?
a
Kelda.
Kelda.
Kelda. They're like, oh, we need a Kelda, but like the Kelda has to marry one of us. She's like, well, you can marry. What does she say?
I think she does it like where there's like a rock being like a mountainous rock being reduced down to like
A pebble or
The
something.
bird goes and
Nothing.
wipes their beak on the
Yeah.
mountain, and until the mountain is reduced, she
it's an
That's so
erosion
cute.
as like
Yeah.
the time
Yeah.
frame, which is going to be millennia.
Impossible. Yeah.
and then Rob anybody like sags
Thank
and
God.
because he's like, I don't want to marry
this
a
giant
9-year-old.
9-year-old.
And it's funny because like Tiffany, like I was thinking about the story's relationship to fairy tales and folk tales so much, and like there's this push and pull, like because Tiffany, she talks about like that shelf of books and like the good child's book to fairy tales, and she talks about like Miss Snapperly dies because of stories, and she talks about how in the stories they say that only girls who look like this get to be princesses if that's something you would
With
want
the
to be.
blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, she talks about like like the way stories like can lead you astray or give you narratives that are unhelpful, and she basically goes, "These are lies. These are stupid. They're dangerous." But then also like she uses this story here, kind of this like almost like the story of a bird wiping its beak on a mountain to get herself out of this engagement to rob anybody.
Yeah.
And then her stories about like Granny Aching, they say explicitly at one point that there's something about like the fairies tales to Granny, the stories about Granny Aching with like the stories about saving the Baron's dog, and I can't remember the other stories right now, but whenever Granny Aching appears in a flashback. Mm-hmm. So there's this push and pull between like stories as danger and stories as helpful structure. I don't know. They play a lot of interesting roles that I can't quite
Well,
figure
and that
out.
there's something true about the fairy tales somewhere, you know. So it's the untangling what is real and what is, myth.
Yeah.
And where does that stop mattering? Because it goes back to that whole, even if you know how it's done, magic is still cool, even if it's not really magic, and like that's sort of the driving thing with Granny Aching is all of these things that she thought were magic when she was very small. She understands now that the lamb wasn't actually dead. It was just kind of hypothermic and on the verge of death. So warming it up, revived it. Not that Granny Aching put a dead lamb into an oven, which was what it looked to be when she was 5. And the lamb came to life, So I like that angle on things. And I feel like that's also maybe somewhat from his journalist background, because as a journalist, I would think you really understand some journalists probably don't understand the responsibility here, but like they understand the impact of you're crafting the narrative for how people interpret or understand events.
Yeah.
And for the right person, that carries a lot of responsibility to, fact finding and making sure that you present things truthfully. But reality is that people want the cool story, right? And like, what does that say about us? And do you give people the cool story with the idea that they'll eventually come to the real truth of it? and find what they need from that cool story in different ways, like along the path of their life, which I think is interesting because Tiffany does seem to have a like good grasp of that in general. I mean, she understands that stories can be dangerous because clearly the community thinking that this poor old woman was a witch.
Right.
Like
They were terrible to
they
her.
were horrible. Yeah.
I mean, it's the more you think about it, the darker that
And
is.
she was no witch, right? She was just an older woman who looked the part. And so
She didn't do anything to anyone.
And then Granny Aching benefited in some ways from the community thinking she was a witch, right? Like the Baron sort of deferred to her because he had some fear of her witchiness, right? And the community would go to her with problems and such, even though Tiffany knows, like, well, was it really magic or was it just hard work and smarts and, cleverness? Like the thing with the dogs where she realizes, like, well, no, she wasn't really controlling them with their mind. They're like 3 separate minds working in concert because they know each other so well and they know each other's desires and habits and all of these things. I think that's an interesting take on the power of story, the power of myth, or the value of that.
I think that's why I enjoyed this book because I think it's like it's still fantasy and there's like so many elements of that in it, but it's like really rooted in reality. And you could just take it as like a child's like overactive imagination if you wanted to, if that's how you wanted to like read the series or the book. You could do that. Or, you can kind of lean into like the fantasy of it. And yeah, I just going back to like Tiffany and her perceptiveness. I also think it was really interesting that even at 9, she knew that what happened to Miss Snapperly was very much just a community being
bigoted.
Yeah, bigoted. Yeah. Like they just didn't know what to do with someone that age anymore. Like it made them uncomfortable. And so the minute they could like ascribe this myth to her and kind of play her out to be like the bad person, they could cast her out.
Yeah, because even when she was talking to Miss Tick about it, you could tell that she felt kind of like emotional about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. You were talking.
No, that was it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
She was emotional. I was going to say she was furious.
Yeah, like, and I don't know if you get that a lot from kids that age, right? I mean, they may realize, oh, like, it's messed up, it's wrong, but, like, if even that. Because a lot of the times they're just like, oh, well, if this is what the adults are saying, then that's probably what happened. And if they did that, then she probably deserved it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there are things you, like, know as a kid, but I just feel like, well, at least maybe for me, like, I didn't think I could articulate it. I feel like in the way that she does, like, she can articulate, like, her anger about it. So, yeah, I definitely appreciated that about her. Because I was thinking back to, like, I don't know why I was thinking about this recently, but like, the whole like media fanfare around Britney Spears and like making her out to be like really crazy. And I just remember as a kid just being like, I could tell like that they were obviously like, even though they would say like she's crazy, I'd be like, I feel like it's wrong that you're portraying her that way. Like, but I wouldn't know how to like verbalize that. Like, I think it's only now that we know, like, yeah, it was sexism and like they wanted her to play a specific role. And obviously, like, no human being can like really live up to everyone's expectations in that way. And so you are going to break. And maybe, we should have treated her with more compassion than what she got.
Free Britney.
Leave Britney alone! Please.
I don't know anyone could exist in a situation like that and come out in any sort of like emotionally healthy way.
Right.
Child stars really go through it.
Yeah. Boy, Amanda Bynes.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, it just gets worse and worse. That poor
know.
girl.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Who put meaningful name? And I guess specifically, what did we want to discuss? Is it
Oh, I did. And we can, sorry, I put a lot of random stuff on there. We don't have to, but they had that whole bit about like, Tiffany's like, I'm not sure if I can live up to Tiffany. It might be a problem if I'm going to be a witch.
That's funny.
And I was kind of thinking about, like there's that like the Tiffany problem when people are like, Tiffany sounds like it's a really modern name, but it's actually a much older name than it sounds. And there's that whole bit where the old Kelda tells her like, oh, well, your name sounds like it means land under a wave in our language. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was interesting.
No, that is really sweet.
Right, because names mean a lot to them, right? That's why we don't get the actual names of the...
I know. Nac Mac Feegle.
Yeah. And they're like,
it's like, what are you going to do with my name?
We can't tell you our names. But there's that whole bit about like...
the distrust.
You can't grow a good witch on chalk. It's too soft.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But then they talk about, your name might mean some variant on land under wave in the Feegle language. And then the whole discussion about the chalk is actually made up of like shells and bones of long dead little sea creatures from back when everything was underwater. That's all I was thinking about.
Is that really what chalk is made up of?
Yeah, pretty much.
We don't have to include this in the actual episode, but do you guys, is there like a meaning to your names?
Yeah, my name is Arabic. It means Eve, like Adam and Eve.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mine's just a flower.
Mine means
I didn't know that.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's like
didn't know
a
that
weedy,
either.
scrubby. It grows on like moors and stuff.
Like
But is that what your parents intended, or they just really liked the name?
They just liked the name.
I mean, full of grace.
Full of grace.
Do you feel like you're full of grace?
No, I trip over my own feet a lot.
No, you did ballet, right? Or
Yeah,
you
but
do
that's
some-
the joke is that ballet dancers are really graceful in class, and then they get out of class and then they trip over their own feet because they've stopped thinking about it.
Gotcha. So we talked a little bit about the myth in this book, but I think another like running theme, or I guess tied to that, is the power and significance of words. Is there anything else that we wanted to touch on? I mean, I feel like we kind of touched on it as much as we could with the whole myths, but I know that dreams were a big thing as well.
Well, the Feegles are very afraid of words, the power of words. At one point, Tiffany like reads from the diseases of the sheep to open up the door into Fairyland.
Yeah.
And I think Tiffany is constantly meditating on the meaning of words. Like there's the susurrus and the gibbous moon and the pune and play upon words. Corrects her.
Yeah.
Fun fact, multiple Discworld characters elsewhere in the series mispronounce it pune. It's kind of a running gag.
Oh, really?
I don't know why.
It's so funny because when she first said that, I was like, what is she trying to say? And then I was like, oh, okay.
Remember when she was trying to pronounce psychology?
Yeah.
No, but that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. I think to go back to the opening the gate into the like other realm, she didn't need those words to open the gate. It was just sort of like smoke and mirrors to make it seem like magic because she felt like the Feegle. But then they knew she was not really exactly, but they were like impressed that she knew that like I should make this look a certain way because they knew it was just that she had observed well and could see where it was, but they needed her to find it to like prove that she could lead them. And then she did sort of the bonus thing of making it extra witchy by like reading some words that they didn't like.
She didn't need it, but I think she also did maybe at some level because she brought the diseases of the sheep and the jolly sailor wrapper because she was trying to like bring Granny Aching with her.
Yeah.
Like so. Because she, I think this book is when we see Tiffany at her most like inexperienced, and naive is not really a word that fits Tiffany very well. But I feel like you can.
I mean, she's still 9 at the end of the day. Yeah.
Doing all of these things she's doing. Excuse a little naivete, but
she picks up quick. And
she
I love
picks
that.
up very quick. And she definitely handles it way better than I think most people would, like all of these things that are happening. But I mean, she's kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to read these diseases of the sheep and think about my grandmother and try to imagine a door into Fairyland. It's a little bit of an invocation, even if it's not really magic.
Yeah.
but it kind of is.
I love that she still keeps believing, even as like things kind of like she realizes they weren't how she thought they were in terms of it being magic. Like the fact that the Nac Mac Feegles were the ones that were doing things for her grandmother. And then, well, I guess that's technically magic, but what else? I
There
think
is a
like
weird blend of things that she realizes were not magic, like a lot of the things that her grandmother did.
Yeah.
But then there's things that are clearly still magic in the world.
Yeah, it just wasn't that Granny Aching was the one doing them specifically.
Like people flying on brooms is clearly still magical in some way to her. She does not understand how that's working, but she understands some of those things. And yeah, that sort of refrain of, well, it's still valuable even if you understand the trick, you know?
Well, there's that, there's that quote, it doesn't stop being magic just because you know how it's done. Which I think really opens up the door about trying to understand, trying to nail down the definition of magic.
I mean, I think it also has nice real life usage too.
There's a lot of interesting inversions of things related to words. So the bard characters of the Feegles and
the battle poetry.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like the opposite of what a bard would usually do. It's it's bad on purpose, you know? I think the lesser Feegle that's learning to be the bard,
I loved that theme.
It's really fun.
He's getting a little job review after he defeats some of the girls. Like, good job. Those lyrics were terrible.
Yeah.
You've got the makings of a good Gonigal. Oh yeah, not as big as we jock, but bigger than we.
I did find out, I don't know, maybe we could skip ahead to this because it's not really a game. We should have done this at the beginning.
The Feegle names?
The name thing, we can figure out what our Feegle names are because I think the naming conventions of the Feegle it's really funny in the book.
Yeah.
So the thing that I found was somebody said, Crivens in Terry Pratchett's Discworld, the Nac Mac Feegle are 6 inches tall and covered in blue tattoos. They fight, steal sheep, and generally lead a grand life. If you're planning on joining the clan, have your Nac Mac Feegle name ready. And then we use our initials from first and last names to discover our Nac Mac Feegle names. Hawa and I will be the same, but I will revert to my maiden name for my last initial so that Hawa and I are not the exact same name. So it gives an example. If your initials are AW, it ends up matching to the A is awfully wee, and the last name matches to Woolly. So awfully wee Woolly would be your Feegle name. So Darlene, what is your Feegle name?
Mine is Daft Rob.
Poor Darlene.
Mine is No as we jock.
But smaller than big jock.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me keep reading it. I was like, what? Okay. No as we jock, but smaller than big jock.
Jock.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I see.
Mine is no as we babby, but smaller than big babby.
I'd be not as wee as Neil, but smaller than big Neil. That was my best Feegle accent. That's all I got.
This reminds me of, Childish Gambino got his name from a Wu-Tang Clan name generator.
Watching haters wonder why Gambino got the game.
So that's what this made me think of. Yeah. So in college, me and all my friends, we went and put our names in the Wu-Tang Clan generator name. And mine was Wacko Specialist.
Nice. That's a good one. Oh, I wanted to talk about feminism in the book because I do think, I know we'll talk about this a little bit more with Bechdel test to some degree, but I think this is a very feminist work, which is, surprising since a man wrote it.
Right.
Maybe that's unkind of me, but
No, it's honest.
Yeah, I felt like generally when we've been picking books, the vast majority of our books have been written by women, with a few exceptions. And I will say that the few exceptions that we've had,
Haven't
the
been
authors
great.
have turned out to be horrible people.
Yeah.
So just, Neil Gaiman, Roald Dahl.
Oh, damn.
That may be it for our men.
Which Roald Dahl book did we do?
Matilda.
Oh, I wasn't on that episode. Okay.
Yeah, we have one who's a Nazi and one who's just turned out to be a garbage person, which is a
Roald
shame
Dahl was a
because,
Nazi?
yeah, pretty much. He was a sympathizer anyways. But like, Neil Gaiman, I feel like as librarians, we were so leaning on that man because he was so pro-library. And like anytime you see, something that's a quote about how great libraries are, 9 times out of 10, it's Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
And so I think we all felt just like profoundly betrayed when he turned out to be just a garbage person like so many others.
I still haven't posted that video that we made of the thumbs up to the book, thumbs down to the...
Yeah. But this one, I feel like Terry Pratchett really acquits himself well, and I hope we don't learn someday that he was a terrible person. I feel like there's been enough time that would have come out
That's
already.
11 years, right?
I was going to say, it's like Cesar Chavez. Like, you heard chatter before you got the, like, big expose. So I'm like,
from, like, Dolores Huerta.
Yeah. I was like, you would have heard it by now.
One would think.
Yeah.
I mean, so Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman they were friends. Terry Pratchett.
Well, he probably didn't know he was a jerk. Terry Pratchett here. You don't always know what your friend is doing in their private life. It's gross.
Terry Pratchett died before the news came about Neil Gaiman.
Out.
So, I mean, I've actually, I've been stressing about this because,
because they wrote together.
They did. They co-wrote a book together, and they were friends. And I mean, I obviously didn't know Terry Pratchett. My relation with him was entirely parasocial.
Right.
And you never really know someone, but I would really like to believe that he knew nothing. I have only ever heard from anyone who has ever interacted with him or like you said, you think things would have come out, but I guess you never really know someone. But I've only ever heard that he was a very decent person, and there's never been any mutterings about anything. I would like to think that he would have been horrified to learn this about Neil Gaiman. My complete lack of unbiasedness about these books and this author is going to show here, but I think there's really strong themes in his books about, which I think you see in this, about justice and seeing people as people and trying to do the right thing even if it's hard. Mm-hmm. I hope that is an accurate representation of his character.
Yeah, there's a way that he writes the women in this book as kind of making decisions that really only a woman can make. I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel like things could have only been the way that they were among the Aching clan because you had a matriarch like Grandma Aching.
Yeah.
And then I was going to ask you guys, how did you guys feel about at the end that she kind of accepts that Roland can just create the narrative that he was the hero, and she was like, it doesn't really matter. Only you and I know the truth. And so there was a sort of acceptance to it, but I was...
but she knows she has the leverage with that. I mean, I think the message is the same as with Granny and the Baron, right? Where that man's fear of the truth coming out gives leverage to the woman that holds that truth to influence them into better behavior than they would have done otherwise. And so, Granny Aching does that with the Baron, and then she does that with Roland, where she kind of threatens him and is like, well, we both know this, and that would be a shame if other people learned this. So, of course, you're going to do right by your people, and you're going to, rule as, an honest and, compassionate person. And we're not going to have any of this nonsense with, we're not going to have a repeat of Snapperly or whatever.
You're not going to like what happens if the truth comes out.
Exactly.
You're going to carry this with you, and you're going to be wise and just, right? Right?
Yeah. Because, the men in this book are... more or less non-entities. I mean, the Feegles obviously are important, and some of them get developed a little bit more. But, the human men in the book aren't really much to write home about, right? Like it's like they're all kind of.
I was going to ask, the Kelda are women too, right?
Yeah. The Kelda are only women. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's another matriarchal society. I think it's interesting because a lot of the things that he touches on in terms of the, you know, who controls the narrative, controls the history, and the way that, you know, even stories where it's this very like black and white, women are either bad witches or beautiful princesses, but you know, the women that are maligned are the ones that actually have some agency, the witches, and the ones that are praised are the princesses who have little to no agency. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's fairly sophisticated in what does come across as a book for kids. I mean, he definitely meant this to be for young people.
He did.
And I think that's a very sophisticated thing to weave through the book and kind of make kids aware of in not a pedantic way, right? Like if you tell people, oh, people do this and it's bad, and so you shouldn't do that, and like you're part of this because everyone does this, that doesn't land well for anyone. Like that makes people defensive and stuff. But when you weave it through like this, and maybe you do have somebody see like, oh, hey, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that before. Tiffany's right. Or, oh, that's a good point. Like, why is it always that the woman is either the evil stepmother or, you know, the damsel in distress? Like, I think you're doing something that's a lot more impactful than like writing something that is, you know, a little bit more American girly, where it's like, here is the lesson you must learn from this book that I wrote.
No one likes to be lectured at.
Exactly. So I thought that was really cool. I also, you know, again, it's a surprisingly feminist work for having been written by a man. And I often have issues with how men write women, and I don't really have too many issues with how he writes here. And, you know, if there was going to be an issue that I had with any of the characters, it would be the fairy queen. But I think he's writing within sort of the mythos of what fantasy it. You know, he's taking a trope and he's using that. And then the sort of like meta context for that is, look, it's another trope of the bad. You know, she's the evil stepmother, essentially, in the book, where she's super powerful, but she's totally vain, and she's just completely wrapped up in herself, and she's trying to control everything in a certain way. But, you know, Tiffany almost has like, well, she has pity for her, right? Like, I was going to say sympathy, and I'm not sure it's quite sympathy. But, like, the thing that ends up being effective is that Tiffany's pity for, like, how vain and like how the construct of that world works is what like unlocks how do I manipulate it for good. And I think that's an interesting use of something that, you know, could have come across as tropey itself and not in a fun way in the book. And I think he did it in a way that was, you know, interesting. Because again, that character of the fairy queen is not particularly unique. We see that character in some form in so many other stories that predate this book. But I think what is unique is how the insight that he gives Tiffany into how to deconstruct that trope in real time and make it work for her, I think is really an interesting way to frame things. And not to say that like all the men in the book are bad. Like Roland's a kid. He's not evil.
He's kind of a dumb 12-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Like her dad is a little bit checked out and maybe is favoring his son over the girls and stuff, but he's a product of the culture he lives in. He tries. He tries. He has some insight too. Like even the Baron, you know, on some level, I think is not a completely, you know, cardboard cut out of a character. There's a little bit there. So it's not as though he's, you know, totally relegated the men into just NPCs that move things along.
The Baron is character growth in the later books, although he's not really the focus, but you do see him change a little.
But yeah, I think I think it's a great thing that we've got a male author that, has done some reflection on the world and has interrogated the stories that we tell our daughters and the stories that we pass down and stuff. And he's tried to do something with that. And again, not to say that that's like a totally unique thing. I can think of a lot of other books that have sort of a similar bent to them, I guess. But in fantasy in particular, I think we very rarely have male authors centering a female character in a way that the female character feels like a person, I guess.
Yeah, I think he really tried very hard and with a great deal of success tried to inhabit the mind of a 9-year-old girl. And it probably helped that he had a daughter at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder how much of his daughter, her personality, or I guess the kind of books he'd want her to read influenced how he wrote Tiffany.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting question.
Yeah, I don't know how old she was at the time that he was working on this, but
she was born in 1976, so she would have been an adult
already. Because I was thinking in my head, the scenes from Princess Bride where the grandfather is reading the fairy tale book to Fred Savage, and he does, he's not into it at first, but then he gets more and more into it. And I was wondering, if any of these things kind of evolved from stories bedtime stories he told his daughter, and that back and forth that you have of shaping a story with a child when you're just telling stories, not reading stories, but you're generating something with them. I was wondering how much that might have happened or been part of how this evolved for him.
I just found that, so this is from the Art of Discworld, and I found this when I was flipping through the section with the artwork on the Feegles and Tiffany, and this is commentary from Terry Pratchett. This was published in this book, I think 2004, 2005, so it came out shortly after the first Tiffany Aching book. So this is an excerpt of text next to some pictures on Tiffany Aching, and quote, what he says is, "I rather like Tiffany, and so do the Brownie Pack I happen to be an honorary member of, who agreed that I'd written a real 9-year-old girl. Look, I helped them out with an item for their gang show, and they were kind enough to honor me, okay? I have the scarf. She's clever, but not hugely so, quiet, observant, good at making cheese, and possessed of a determination as hard as teak. I thought it would be interesting to watch her development over perhaps 4 books, aging her by a year or 2 each time." So it sounds like he might have run it by some other, I don't know if it was pre-publication or after, but it sounds like he did talk to some perhaps 9-year-olds and got some opinions on Tiffany. I want to know the story behind the honorary Brownie member.
Because this came out 2003?
Yeah, that was 2003.
Because his daughter would have been 27.
Yeah, so his daughter was a grown woman at that point, but he certainly would have been through, being a father to a 9-year-old and all of her ages.
Does this book hold up, and would you recommend this book?
Question, what does your name mean?
I think it literally just means darling.
Oh, that's cute. That's very fitting.
Yeah. So I do think the book holds up, and I would recommend this book.
Yeah.
It's a book I wish I had read when I was the age of Tiffany. So I would recommend it to certainly, I think, any girls, especially from 8 and up, if they, if they have the reading chops to handle. I mean, it would be longish for early J, but we certainly have kids that could handle this that are middle grade readers.
Yeah.
And then I think I would also recommend it to boys and just try to sneak some fantasy in there that centers women for a change in not a gross way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's a good intro to fantasy for someone that maybe doesn't know if they like it or not, because it does blur the line of you could think of it as more realistic And then it could be fantasy. So I like that aspect of it too, that it could be just like an introduction for someone that maybe they don't yet know that they like fantasy, or maybe they are a little like hesitant to read fantasy.
As somebody who is that person, I agree. Like, I think the few fantasies that I've actually been able to like finish and enjoy always have some kind of like reality rooted in them. I mean, I guess a lot of it probably does, but like this one more so than, other things that I've tried. So yeah, I agree.
Does it feel like, so dropping into this world, it doesn't feel too disorienting to?
No, and I was going to say, like, I mean, I did find it a little bit hard to picture, like, the other world in it. But then I was like, I thought it was so funny that even within that world, because it's being created by the queen, like, as you go through it, I was like, it kind of mirrors the way that, like, my brain is, like, trying to catch up in, like, creating whatever world it is, like, through the descriptions. Does that make sense? Like, it feels, like, unfinished until you keep going. So I appreciated that. And then also, like, yeah, I'm definitely not someone that really likes the kind of fantasy where it needs a map at the beginning of the book to, like, understand. And, like, you immediately get into all of these words and, like, just places that you just don't know. Like, it's hard to, like, root yourself in the story.
I mean, I obviously think this book holds up and I would recommend it. But I'm completely biased when it comes to this book. I think this is a really good entry to this series. But I think it also, maybe because this series stands apart from the rest of the Discworld series in some ways, perhaps because it features a young protagonist. Most of them are about adult characters, but it's also, I don't know, the chalk feels kind of like a land apart from a lot of the other parts of Discworld. So it kind of has more of a standalone feel than some of the other series, which I think almost sub-series of the series, which I think stand alone pretty well. So I think it's a very self-contained young adult, which I think anyone could read, including, like you were saying, Heather, younger children to a point, people of any age. I know quite a few adults who have enjoyed this. I think for people who, I know there's someone who really enjoyed Harry Potter, but was looking for something other than Harry Potter, and they really enjoyed this. So I love that there's humor in it. There's a lot of cultural references, which you sometimes have to, like, dig really deep to find the references to, not just because they're British and I'm American, but I think there's a lot going on in this text.
Wasn't there a part where they said, where I think she was like, oh, there is no school, like, it's just life. And then they're like, no, like, you can learn it.
Oh, for the witch school?
Yeah.
Go over and open your eyes and then open your eyes again. And then she does, I mean, spoiler, Tiffany does go and study witchcraft when
she's a little older.
Yes.
Yeah, but that reminded me, because I was like, I was like, oh, okay, I can see someone that likes Harry Potter maybe really liking this. And I was like, but it is missing that school element. And then, like, they bring up the school again. And then I thought it was funny that she was, like, again, trying to be, like, perceptive and was saying, oh, it's just life. I get it. I get it. And then they're like, no, there is a school. Like, you can learn witchcraft.
I feel like witches are always trying to mess with each other's heads, like, constantly.
Okay. Hey, guys. Welcome. Hello. Sorry. Why did I start out like that?
This is official, too. It's it's on Terry Pratchett book.
Exactly. Thank you, Terry Pratchett. Okay.
It's not a BuzzFeed quiz.
It's not a BuzzFeed quiz. We love us a BuzzFeed quiz.
Are we allowed to go outside the BuzzFeed?
We're doing it.
BuzzFeed's going to be like, so I thought we had an exclusive agreement here.
We don't have a contract with them. They haven't been paying us.
Send us some merch and we'll talk.
Right.
We can do it exclusive if they pay us.
Okay, so we're going to get into our game segment. So we're going to try out this quiz from Terry Pratchett's website called So Which Discworld Witch Are You? Take the quiz to find out. So being a witch is about much more than just wearing a black pointy hat and turning people into green slimy things. In Discworld, they deliver babies, treat warts, and keep an eye on troublesome kings, vampires, or incursions from other worlds which they do not hold with. There are more witches on the disc than you could imagine, and dealing with all of them is like carrying a tray full of marbles. But which witch do you most closely resemble? Find out by taking this quiz. First question is, are you nosy? Yes or no?
Yes, exclamation point.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. I am admittedly nosy. Sorry, did you say yes? We all say
I did
yes.
say yes.
were very
We all said
resounding
yes.
yes.
We're all nosy.
We all say
Do people think you are bossy? Yes, but someone has to decide what needs doing! Exclamation mark. No, I'd rather talk to people properly or just get on with it myself.
I don't know what people think I am.
Right, that's hard. I hate when questions ask that.
Yes, everyone thinks I'm bossy.
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
You guys are kind of bosses. You too, so like, mine is no.
I don't know.
You don't seem bossy to me.
Okay, I'm gonna say
Not to say that y'all
I
seem
don't think
bossy,
you're
but-
very
All right,
bossy.
I'm gonna say no then.
Do you believe a good night out can help sort...
Hey, wait, what?
Yeah,
you have
we're
a different
different.
question.
Mine is, do you believe that
Oh, no.
fashion and the image you portray are important?
We're diverging now.
Okay, so we'll just do like parallel paths, I guess. So
I guess.
Do for you, Hawa.
Okay, so since I said no to the last question, the next question says, do you believe a good night out can help sort out many a problem? The first answer is, oh yes, there's nothing like letting your hair down to brighten your outlook. And the second is, no, I'd rather talk through it. A night out will only make you feel worse the morning after. See, my problem is, I don't know if a good night out can help me sort a problem, but I also don't like talking through things. I have a very avoidant personality, so neither of these.
Rather go out.
But I think I'm just going with I'd rather go out. Yeah. Ooh, okay. And then it tells me who I am. So should I say it now or just wait for
Just
everybody?
wait.
Okay.
Are you yes or no,
I'm
Hannah?
gonna go with no. No, I don't really want to talk it through, but going out isn't gonna help. Oh, I got another question.
Oh, okay, so we'll just, this is a weird, like, choose your own adventure
yeah.
quiz.
Yeah, it's like
That's
like the
fun.
books with where you die or you don't.
Yeah, and then you have to go back because you don't like what you got.
I kept like trying to hold my spots with my fingers, and then I
Oh,
ran
yeah,
out of
with the,
fingers.
like-
Yeah,
Yep, same.
so stressful.
We got a different question. Do you want to read it, Darlene?
Well, y'all got different questions?
Yeah,
what
because
question do
when
you
we
have?
said yes, we're bossy, we got into a different track.
But did you guys get different questions from each other?
No.
No,
okay.
the
What's
same
your
one
question?
for now, yeah. So it's, do you believe that fashion and the image you portray are important? I'm going to go with no.
Oh, great.
It's not what you look like, it's what you do that matters.
That's fine. I'll go with yes because people judge you by the way you look all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
now we have
interesting.
different questions. Great. All right. This is fun. So my question is now, do you feel at home in a busy, teeming city? And my options were yes, I love the pace, the variety, and sheer volume of life in a city, or no, I'd much rather be out in the countryside where there's room to breathe. And I am a hard no. I would rather be in the countryside.
My question is, are you pedantic about grammar and spelling?
Okay, Tiffany.
Well, the choices are yes, I can't abide a misplaced apostrophe, and no, it's not as important as what you really mean and how you behave towards others. I think when I was younger, it would have been yes, but right now it's no.
Hannah, did you get another question?
I did. Mine is, do you feel as comfortable with animals as you do with people? And my choices are yes, sometimes their animals are even better to talk to, or no, I'm not really an animal person. I'm going to go with yes, because people suck.
Do you have another question again?
No,
you
Same
don't.
here.
Oh, really?
Okay, so keep going.
How
Y'all
did
suck.
Howard run out of questions so quickly and we're still
Right.
going? How does this work? Wait, who's going?
Go for it.
Okay. My next question is, do you feel a strong connection to the land where you live, grew up? Answers are yes, definitely. It's a part of me and always will be, or not really. I'm just as happy discovering new places. I guess yes. Okay, I have a response now.
So I've still got to do mine. Do you sometimes doubt yourself, but do your utmost to never let it show, even to yourself. My choices are, oh, yes, a little bit, but don't tell anyone. Or no, absolutely not. I'm always right. Why would I doubt it? Yes, certainly. Everyone has self-doubt unless there's something wrong with them.
Oh, you got
Okay,
it.
yes, we all have answers now.
We all have our
Who- I think you were first, Hawa, so
Go for it, Hawa.
yours. You were assigned first.
Yes. So it says that you like to be rooted firmly in an everyday life, a big family, a man or two. A good party now and then, but although people might think of you as a jolly soul with a big warm hug, there is a lot more to you than that, and woe betide anyone who underestimates you. You are most like Nanny Og. And then it says here that she was generally thought of as a jolly old soul, but there was a lot more to the old woman. Nanny knew all the old dark stuff, old magic that didn't need witches, magic that was built into people and the landscape. The matriarch of such a huge family, I'm going to have to take a picture with that.
Yeah.
The matriarch of a huge family, fond of a drop or two of scumble, a bawdy joke, and a good sing-song, yet beneath the warm, comforting appearance, Nanny is a witch with a huge natural ability and the willingness to stand strong and kick into touch any threats or enemies. If you need help with the affair of the heart, Nanny is your witch. She has been there, done it, worn out several husbands, some of which were even her own, and got the commemorative cushion stitched by a doting daughter-in-law. Likely to say, human being first, witch second. Hard to remember, easy to do.
Nice.
Interesting.
That was such a detailed description.
Yeah. So there's the first box that tells you
Yeah.
kind of who you are, and then it kind of gives you more of like what she's like.
So my description is you don't want the world, just a small part of it, which you can keep safe, and you feel a fierce responsibility towards those who ask you for help. Not one to push yourself forward or stand in the spotlight, you nevertheless command respect simply by being very good at what you do. You are most like Granny Weatherwax. And then the description that they have for her is everyone knows that witches don't have leaders, but Granny Weatherwax is the best leader they don't have, generally considered, including by herself, as the best witch on the Discworld. A witch through and through, stern and sharp-tongued, Granny doesn't do nice. She does what is needed, and she believes in using hard work rather than magic wherever possible. Though she isn't averse to moving herself into the body of a bird or animal when she wants a different view of what is going on.
You sometimes feel inexperienced, not quite sure what to do, but deep down you know who you are and where you come from, and it gives you strength to trust yourself and your talent. Born on the chalk, a witch who gets her strength from her home turf, Tiffany is a hard worker who fears letting other people down. Proud of her skills, glad of the help she gets from the Nac Mac Feegle, Tiffany is a witch with immense natural power who can draw on the very elements to help her do what is needed. For if there is a problem to face, Tiffany will always walk towards the problem, accept the duty that comes with being a witch of the chalk. Likely to say, this is my problem, I will sort it out.
I love that you got Tiffany.
Yeah.
I was hoping somebody would get her.
Yeah.
She has like a shorter description.
Yeah.
You don't have a bunch of like quotes from books about her?
What's that?
Underneath, they didn't give you a bunch of quotes of.
They gave one, but yeah, just the one that. Sorry, two. They had "The land is in my bones" from the We Free Men, and "This is my problem, I will sort it out" from I Shall Wear Midnight.
Okay. All right. You simply love paraphernalia. Books, trinkets, jewelry, accessories, and anything you can find to show the world exactly who you are. You love to see things done properly with suitable ceremony and will ensure that everyone else knows how things should be done, even if you have to tell them 1,000 times where they're going wrong. Deep down, sometimes you aren't quite so sure you are doing things right, but you're certainly not going to let anyone else see that. You're most like Anagramma Hawken. And then the additional quotes. Anagramma could tell herself stories that she literally believed, and she could bounce back like a ball. With the aid of a bit of Boffo, Anagramma Hawken is a young witch with her own steading, and that suits her fine, for Anagramma knows she's destined for great things, especially where the higher magic is concerned. She'd rather leave the messy bits of birthing to a village midwife, for instance, while she sets the calming runes and does special chants. Likely to say we must distinguish the higher magic from the everyday sort. None of that mumbling in hedgerows for us.
You are not at all like Anagramma.
No, I'm really not.
So you're aware of the character before you got her?
Yes.
She's from, I think she's appears in the next one,
Oh,
the
okay.
next book. Or is it the one after that? I can't remember.
Each episode, we ask whether our book passes the Bechdel test. The Bechdel test asks whether a work features two female characters who talk to each other about something that doesn't involve men or boys. So, does it pass?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Even though Tiffany spends most of the time talking to the Feegles.
But she does talk
She
to...
talks to
Granny
Miss
Aching.
Tick.
Yeah.
And there's Granny Aching moments.
Yeah.
She has some discussions with the Fairy Queen
Yeah, the queen.
And the Kelda. Although they're talking about
and the Kelda's daughter.
who doesn't like her.
Who's really just been out of shape about the whole situation. Yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode of These Books Made Me. Join us next time when we'll discuss a book in which a girl has to flee her home state due to her chronic health condition. If you think you know which books we're tackling next, or if you just want to talk to us, you can find us on Instagram. We're at These Books Made Me.